Yes, yes. Yeah, depending on where you live in the valley, you're going to get more or less groundwater. The groundwater that you tend to get is got a fair amount of calcium in it, and that's hard water. If you get predominance of hard water, then you're going to have the hardness problems, and that is something that we're looking at solving using the pellet water softening technology.
This is a bit more of a question of character rather than technicals on water. In 2006, you were managing Frank Ferry's campaign and started a political action committee called Citizens for Integrity in Government. Since that time, that PAC has deliberately failed to disclose its contributors until after our city council elections. That happened in 2006, 2008, and 2010. $30,000 was given to Lori Inder in 2008. $45,000 came from that PAC in 2010. I know you're not in charge of that PAC anymore, and that's handed off to a guy down in Beverly Hills. But with the letter flap here that occurred between Kevin Korenthal and Frank Ferry, I'm just curious, you know, obviously you guys are very tight. One, why should we trust you? And two, actually more to the point, what do you think of Ferry's letter on Korenthal? I mean, do you denounce that, or do you think that's just okay?
Okay, the Frank Ferry's letter to Korenthal's employer is interesting to me. It's interesting to me from the standpoint that if I'm to believe what's reported in the paper, my opponent has a point of view that Frank Ferry should not enjoy the freedom of speech that I and my children and many other people have fought for, but it should be reserved for Kevin himself. So I'm not in support of that. I believe that Kevin should enjoy the freedom of speech that I have devoted much of my life to fight for, my children as well. But I don't quite understand Kevin's concern. So the issues, if you recall, now I've read the letter. Somebody released the letter to the paper, and so I've certainly read it. And I think it's interesting is that Frank, in that letter, discussed the freedom of speech issues and pointed out, rightfully so, that Kevin has the right and his employer has the right to hire a lobbyist to present the point of view that they want presented. And so Frank never presumed to say that they did not have, were not completely within their rights. I think Frank's letter was an attempt to bring them, to make them aware of the kinds of things that their lobbyist was doing well beyond any campaign for the Castaic Lake Water Agency, because the letter, as I read it, intended to criticize Kevin for attacking folks that had nothing to do with the Castaic Lake Water Agency election. So your question, why should you trust me? I believe, oh, let me backtrack to the committee. As you point out, I'm not, the committee, I had something to do with the committee many years ago. As an elected official, it wouldn't even be legal for me to be the controlling interest in that committee right now. I'm not a member of the committee. I don't have any further interest in the committee. That committee is not mine. Okay, so the folks that are doing that, I have no control over. As far as, boy, these are supposed to be one-part questions. So three-part question. My integrity, I've served as an officer of the United States for a great many years. I think that my record of service is one where clearly it reflects integrity, and I'll stand by my service to this country and service to this community, and I don't know that any reasonable person would really question my integrity. So Thank you.
One more question? Go ahead.
When the rubber hits the road again, if elected, what would you do to reduce our rates and reduce the hardness of our water?
Okay. To reduce your rates, again, two-part question.
No, it's one. What would you do?
What I would do, the hardness issue, as I've already stated, I'd like to see us expand the pellet water softening project. Putting that in more wellheads will certainly help an awful lot. Bringing your rates down, actually I've done that just before I'm elected, okay? Very recently we had an issue where the debt that's carried by the Santa Cruz Water Division was refinanced, and the savings for that were not passed back to the Canyon Country residents. And so I have questioned that, and I'm in the process of fixing that. And I think the next couple of months, I wouldn't be surprised if I have the problem fixed before the election. I certainly hope to. But the board has addressed that issue several times, and I think we're reaching a conclusion where we will have somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000 in interest savings, that we'll be able to pass back to the customers. So I'm always looking for those opportunities.
Thank you.
Thank you.